Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We are in the Psychology of Eating podcast, and I'm with Tiffany today. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're here. For those of you who are new to the podcast, Tiffany and I haven't met before, and we're going to be doing a one-time session together and hopefully do some good work. So, Tiffany, if you could wave your magic wand, get whatever you want with food and body. Yeah. What would that be for you?
I want to stop having the thoughts about food, what I have eaten, what I haven't eaten every single day of my life. It just takes up too much of my mind. And I want to be able to flick that switch so that I start to think like a skinny person who eats because they need to rather than they want to, and get out of that day-to-day roller coaster of food and how it controls me. I've spent many, many years thinking about it, and I just don't want to think about it anymore. And I struggle I'm either feast or famine. I'm either fasting or I'm overeating. So I just want to get some normality into my life where I'm not thinking about food every day, and I'm just a normal person who doesn't get controlled by their thoughts around food.
All right. I like that. That's a good place to get to. So,
absolutely.
How long do you feel have you not been there?
Oh, look, for as long as I can remember. I can remember when I was at school and just having crosscuts at lunch because I was worried about my weight. And I don't really know where it came from. I did have something happen to me when I was younger, but I don't know whether that's sort of part of it. My mother's always watched her weight, but she's never been overweight. And so I, as long as I can remember, I spent most of my 30s a lot heavier than what I am now. I was 83 kilos. Sorry, I'm not sure what the pounds are in the other side of the world. I've consistently kept my weight at 68. I'm 70 at the moment, and I got it down to 65 for my 50th, and that's ultimately where I want to be. But just over the weekend, I put on a couple of kilos and I got very depressed. So I fasted for a couple of days and got it back down again. So it's just this constant, go up, go down. And I've just, I can't remember a day when I haven't battled with my weight.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is worth changing. So,
absolutely.
So you want to lose 5 kilos these days is what it sounds like.
Yes.
And you've gone somewhat up and down over the years, it sounds like, in your weight.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that it could either be feast or famine for you. Either you're fasting or you're eating a lot.
Yeah. So I struggle with just having a small meal. When I do eat, I seem to eat until I'm full. And had too much, and then I feel guilty. I've never been the sort of person that goes to the fridge at 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm not that kind of binge eater. But, and I know a lot of people might think, well, what have you got to worry about? You're not overweight, but I see it differently. I know that my clothes are tight at the moment, and I know what my ideal weight is, but it's just so hard to get there and to stay there without the constant mind struggle and fighting with myself, and either being happy with myself and feeling light because I've dropped a couple of kilos, or feeling cranky with myself because I've been out of control, and food's just got this control over me, and I'm so over it.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to bookmark a comment that you made, which you said, I know what my ideal weight is. How do you know what your ideal weight is? Like, how do you know?
Because that's where I feel comfortable. That's where I feel confident. And I'm still not particularly skinny by any stretch of the imagination at that age. And I think at that weight. And I think that's where it should be sustainable for me. It would be comfortable size 10 to size 12. And I think that would be my healthy weight. So that's sort of been in my mind. I mean, my mum talks about her weight all the time, and she's at 62 kilos, but she's too thin. So I look at her and I go, yeah, that's not going to look healthy. So I don't think it's a weight that's out of the possibilities and should be a weight that is easy to sustain if I have that better thoughts about food and don't overeat and just have like either fast in the morning because I do sort of understand that approach to fasting and so forth, and I don't struggle with skipping breakfast. But maybe that's my problem, because then when I skip breakfast, I tend to eat too much for lunch. And so I have a huge lunch. And then I think, I can't eat anything for dinner because I've eaten too much for lunch. So it's just, I just want to find that magic switch that stops me from this constant battle.
Yes. Okay. So here's what I think is your challenge. You have a lot of what I think are contradictory and confusing thoughts going on in your mind about what your ideal weight is, what would keep you there, what would get you there and keep you there. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking that if you can stop worrying about food and worrying about all these different things, that somehow that's going to then put you in the mindset where you can get to the place where you could sustainably lose the weight and keep it off. It's kind of what I heard you say, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. So let's untangle that, because I think you got that upside down and we need to put it right side up. Meaning this, part of the reason why you're entangled about food thoughts and worry about food is because the beliefs that you have are worrisome. The beliefs and the actual beliefs you have about your body, the beliefs you have about your ideal weight, the beliefs you have about how you lose weight, and then the behaviors, the strategies that you do, then actually don't work for you, which causes your brain to be upset, causes you to be upset. And then you get upset, and then you think your upset is being caused by who knows why. But if you could just not be upset, example, we have to really deconstruct this here. First and foremost, how old did you say you were now? 50?
I'm 52 in October.
52 in October. Happy almost birthday. So your strategy, whatever it's been over the years, hasn't sustainably worked for you.
Correct.
One of the reasons why low calorie eating doesn't work is because low calorie eating mimics the starvation response. What's the starvation response? The starvation response is if you and I all of a sudden are stuck on a desert island, or if all of a sudden there's famine conditions and your brain looks around and says, oh my God, famine, no more food, or desert island, no more food. Prime imperative is to survive. The way your body helps you survive is your brain notices famine or no food, and it automatically slows down calorie burning metabolism. The brain signals the body to store weight, store fat vigorously, not build muscle, which is your calorie burning tissue, because that takes a lot of energy to build muscle. So when we diet, when we're eating too low in calorie for the body, a number of things happen. The main thing is your body thinks it's on a desert island. Your body's going, where's the beef? Where's the food? Where's the calories? It doesn't see them. It's not getting them. So to some degree, you're in a stress response. You're producing more insulin and cortisol. Those hormones will move your body towards weight gain or weight loss resistance or fat deposition. So that's what happens when people low calorie diet. That's why you can hear people say, yeah, if I eat like really low calorie and I eat nothing and I fast, I can lose weight. There are people, I don't know if this ever happened to you. You could not eat food for a week and not lose a single pound. Your body thinks it's starving and it is adjusting metabolism downwards so it can store fat. So we don't know, you don't know, you have no idea what your natural metabolism is. Your natural, you personally, because you've been pulling it in so many different directions over the years. You've been doing feast or famine, your body doesn't know what's up. So all of a sudden, let's say you skip breakfast. Well, if you skip breakfast, what's happening? Breakfast is arguably for many people, majority of people, not all, but is probably their most important meal, because you're waking up, and your body is gearing up to be a lean, mean, calorie burning machine. So your body is conditioned to hunt and gather and procreate and do things during the day, right? When you wake up. So when we wake up, generally speaking, your metabolism is like a low fire in your fireplace. If you add a little bit of fuel to the fire, a little bit, the fire increases. If you add enough fuel to the fire, fire gets really healthy. That's fire meaning your metabolism, your calorie burning metabolism. Put too much food in there, you'll squash metabolism.
Mm. And that's
However, if you don't put enough, that fire starts to burn out. In other words, your body's going to notice, wait a second, there's no calories. I'm waking up, there's no food. I must be starving. And your brain is going to be driven to find food. Any creature that is undernourished, your body thinks it's undernourished, your appetite is automatically on steroids, so to speak. Your appetite mechanism is pushed to its highest degree. So the moment maybe I'll eat something. As soon as you taste something, your brain just wants you to eat. Your brain wants you to binge. Why? Because you're starving. Why? Because you're nutritionally deprived. You're macronutrient or micronutrition deprived, and your brain is driving your hunger. You think you have a willpower problem. You think you can't follow your diet. You're upset with yourself because you can't control yourself. But what you're doing is you've basically instructed your body to tell you to get really, really hungry. Now, you can even shortchange yourself for 2 meals a day. For breakfast and lunch, you could eat really light. And at dinner time, you can find yourself ravenous because the body keeps nutritional score to a great degree. It's your brain is scanning the body. Did I get enough nutrition for the day? If you didn't, the brain isn't smart enough to say you need more essential fats or you need more of this vitamin, this nutrient. Brain just screams hungry. So your all or nothing approach never gets you where you want to go. It will never get you where you want to go. It's going to just keep you in the same place that you've been. And it's going to just kind of deregulate your mind and deregulate your emotions because you keep thinking that there's something wrong with you if you can't control your eating. Mm-hmm. But you can't control your eating because you're not supposed to be controlling your eating because your brain thinks your body is starving, which it kind of is. It's hungry. You have been for many years trying to train your body how not to eat. It's kind of what you've been doing. You've been trying to learn how not to eat. Mm-hmm. You need to completely flip that upside down and you need to learn how to become an eater. Mm. All creatures eat. It's natural to eat. Animals in nature don't get fat. Humans, when they're in a natural environment, they don't get fat. Our pets can get fat, but they're eating they're eating weird food. They're sitting in our apartment all day or whatever. Mm. But animals in nature don't get obese because they're in their natural flow. They're in their natural environment. They're eaters. Mm. And so you need to learn how to eat. How to eat is, for you, is learning how to eat 3 meals a day. And when you eat those 3, and maybe a couple of snacks in between, but each meal you're making friends with food as opposed to, oh my God, food is the enemy. Because that's the other piece that I see running your show. You think food is the enemy.
Yeah, and if food controls me.
Yes, you've said that. Food controls me. So, and it's just a bunch of food. It's just a bunch of pasta. It's just it's just a muffin. It's not dangerous. It can't control you. You can squash it and step on it and kill it at any point that you like. So it feels like it's controlling you because you think it's your enemy, because you think you need to control it in order to lose weight. But weight is not a function of calories in, calories out. We think it is because it's old science and science keeps perpetuating that. Weight is a function of many, many different things. One of the key drivers of weight is stress. Mm-hmm. You take a group of people, or you take a group of laboratory animals and you stress them out, and you take another group of those same laboratory animals, the same lab rats, the same lab mice, and you just let them be in peace. The ones that are getting stressed out, their cages that are getting shocked, even though they all eat the same amount of food, they all get the same amount of food. The lab animals that are stressed, they gain weight. When you are telling yourself day in and day out, food is the enemy, food is the enemy, the moment the brain senses enemy, it goes into a stress response. That's how you're built. That's how you're intelligently designed. If there's if there's a lion all of a sudden chasing you, you go into a stress response, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, you produce all these stress hormones, you become a lean, mean calorie burning machine for 2 minutes. You get really quick thinking, survival instinct thinking. You get really strong because blood is rushing to your arms and legs for quick fighting or fleeing. But in nature, the stress response is essentially designed to last a couple of minutes, because either the lion's going to catch you and eat you, or you're going to get away.
Yeah.
So when we have a day in, day out, unneeded, unnecessary stress response, we produce more insulin and cortisol, more stress hormones, particularly insulin and cortisol together when they are hyperproduced, signal your body to store weight, store fat, not build muscle. And the stress response by itself deregulates your appetite. Meaning when you're relaxed, you have your natural appetite. When you're relaxed, you have your natural digestion and assimilation and calorie burning, believe it or not. You burn your calories. If you're exercising hard 1 hour a day, the majority of your calories are burnt in the other 23 hours. If those other 23 hours you're stressed out, you're not going to be as calorie burning efficient. So you and I, we can use our minds to change our metabolism. If food is the enemy, you are constantly in a stress response. You are constantly changing your biochemistry and signaling your body over time to store weight and store fat and not build muscle. The opposite of what you want to do. And you're deregulating your appetite. You're making yourself crazy on top of that, because food is not your enemy. Literally, it's not. So in order for you to get where you want to go, if this was reality TV and I can get $10 million, $5 million to help you lose the weight that you want to lose sustainably, and keeping it there is easiest for you, this is how I would do it. Sure, I can get you to lose 5 kilos by kidnapping you, tying you up, and starving you. That'll do it. Not sustainable. And that's kind of what you've been doing to yourself. You've been bullying your body, and your body just won't take it because you're trying to go against your biology. You're trying to not be an eater. So the way I would win my money by helping you lose weight sustainably most easily, it's going to take a little more time, is by helping train you to become an eater. So you got to start out by beginning. It's a process for you, for a lot of people, not just you, to begin to make friends with food. So many of us think food is the enemy. Why? Because really it's fat on my body that's the enemy. I want to get rid of this fat. Well, how did this fat get here? Oh my God, it got here because of food. So food is the real enemy. So if I can control the food, I can control the fat. So that's how we're trained to think, but it doesn't work like that. So once food is your friend, you can relax. Once you put yourself in a relaxation response, parasympathetic nervous system dominance when you eat, and even apart from when you eat, you're relaxing into the eating experience. Pleasure by itself catalyzes a relaxation response, which catalyzes your digestion and assimilation and calorie burning, meaning your enjoyment of a meal. You don't really enjoy food. Maybe if you go on a nice binge, it might feel good temporarily, but your job is to learn how to love food again. You probably loved it at some point in your childhood.
But that's why I think I've got a problem, because I love food too much. So, that's why, if you and me, I think I know if I was to have 3 small meals a day, I'm sure I would be at what I need to be. But how do I stop eating? Like, even when I have 3 meals a day, I feel like I keep on having to eat. And if I don't eat till I'm full, I'm missing out in some way. So how
Are you a fast eater, a moderate eater, a slow eater?
I think I'm a moderate eater because I've read so many books over the years, and they've said to slow down your eating, enjoy your eating. And I know a lot of my eating I probably do when I'm bored as well. But it's like, how do I? And maybe I was starving in a past life or something, because whenever I've got a plate in front of me, I always feel like I have to eat it until it's done, rather than eat it and just until I'm full and actually leave some.
Well, that's the training that's the practice that you need to do with yourself, because you are in fear of food. When you say to me, I love food too much, translation, I'm afraid of food. I'm afraid if I'm around food, I'm going to want to eat more, because that's what used to happen. But why does that happen? A big reason why that happens is because you deny it so much, and you deny it and you deny it, that it rubber bands right back in your face. So now the moment you're actually sitting with food and encountering it, you just want to gobble it up. Yeah. Because you are feeling deprived. You are in fear, that your primitive brain is in fear that she's going to starve me again. You're in fear of you starving you again. There's a little girl in you thinking, this terrorist is going to starve me again. So here's the food. Let me eat as much as I can so I can get as much as I can while I can. Yeah. And in order to break that cycle, you have to do something different. You've been doing the same thing and it doesn't work. Same thing, it doesn't work. For 52 years, it doesn't work. Clearly doesn't work. So I'm telling you to do the opposite of what you've been doing. Is instead of making food your enemy, make it your friend. Instead of going all or nothing, all or nothing, all or nothing, you should not be doing any kind of fasting. I'm not saying fasting is bad. I'm saying fasting bad for you, because fasting is telling your body, don't eat, don't eat, don't eat. There are plenty of people who fasting is great for, but they already have a healthier relationship with food. Fasting to you simply means starving my body so I can make it lose weight. Yeah. So to me, what I'd love to see you do is throw out your scale, step on it, kill it first. If you don't want to throw it out, wrap it up in a bag and put it somewhere in your house where you can't get to it. Just stop weighing yourself. Stop letting that little machine tell you how you should feel about yourself. Yeah. It's like a tyrant. You're letting that thing be a tyrant. Yeah. And you're going to go through a period of tremendous, potentially, discomfort, because even though what you're doing doesn't work, it's excessively familiar to you. Yeah. Your strategies, your way of eating, your way of being with your weight, it's familiar to you. There's nothing unknown about it. You know what's going to happen. I'm going to skip breakfast and then I'm going to want to binge later on. Or I'm going to be fasting, and then as soon as I start to eat, I'm going to feel so deprived, I'm going to just eat a ton. And then when you eat a bunch, you feel bad about yourself. You feel like a bad girl. And then you punish yourself by, I don't know, exercising, yelling at yourself internally, or eating less the next day, or eating more in the moment. That's another punishment. Yeah. Yeah. So the discomfort is going to be you're finally doing something not only that's different, but dare I say correct, because food is not your enemy. As a false belief. It's a toxic belief, gets you nowhere, impacts your physiology, it impacts your appetite, it impacts your mind and your behaviors. It drives you mad because food is not your enemy. That's like saying breathing is your enemy. No, it's not. Absolutely. So true. So it's going to take time to make friends with food and to eat not a small meal, but to eat a moderate meal. Eat a moderate meal. Eat a meal where like there just looks like there's enough. You know, it's I don't know. Don't limit yourself to one egg. Eat two. Eat it slow. Relax, enjoy. Enjoy it. Savor it. Eat what you are drawn to. Eat what you feel nourishes you. I'm sure you've done a ton of reading on nutrition. I'm going to hopefully what you're doing is you're not just eating a bunch of salads and you think that's a meal. Because if you're just eating salad and you think that's a meal, you're going to be hungry. So you need to make sure that you have enough healthy protein and healthy fat for you at just about it, at almost every meal, because you need to let your body know I'm feeding you and I'm satiating you.
Yeah.
I'm feeding you what you need. If you're protein or fat deprived, your brain's going to take notice and it's going to tell your appetite to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just trying to eat salads is not going to work. If you're just trying to eat something tiny, the moment you see yourself going into that consciousness, you have a naturalness to you. We're mammals. We're animals. Yeah. And part of it is rediscovering your instinct, your mammal intuition. Because there's certain foods that you will naturally be drawn to. And oftentimes those are the right foods for us to eat. There's going to be certain foods. I'm really in the mood for such and such this morning for breakfast. I'm really in the mood for such and such for lunch. And start to experiment with being an eater. Might you make a mistake? Sure. Wow, my intuition says I should just eat ice cream for lunch. Yeah, sure, go for it. See how you feel. If it doesn't work for you, then okay, take note. But you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to be uncertain and uncomfortable. But your goal has to be, I am no longer going to fight food. So with that, what's going to make it easy for you? And I know I'm talking a bunch here, but there's a lot here for you. I need to deliver a lot of information to you here. Part of what is driving your unhappiness is your, what I'm going to say, religious belief in a certain number.
Yeah.
You have a very strong religious belief that you have made this religion very important. You put a lot of energy into getting to your number.
Yeah.
And it is all important to you. And the reality is you're not putting first things first. Okay, I'll go with it. Weight loss can be important to you. Or having your natural weight is important to you. Great. But put it on the list where it belongs. Is it as important as love in your life? Is it as important as spending time with your loved ones? Is it as important as you being the best version of you? Is it as important as you giving your gifts in the world, being your best self? So you got to notice where you're putting your energy. Because so much energy goes into weight loss and hitting that magic number as if that magic number is going to do all these wonderful things for you. I am just going to be happy when I hit that number and it's all going to be bliss from there. It's going to be heaven. Now, tell me, have you hit that number before?
Yes, I have.
And was it bliss in heaven?
It was, in the sense that I felt so good about myself and I felt good in how I looked. It wasn't because it was so hard keeping it there.
Yes. So it was a temporary experience. You know what it's like? It's like if I have 5 shots of tequila, I feel really good. And then 2 hours later, I am asleep. And the next morning, I got a headache. And that afternoon, I tell myself, I'm not doing that again. So, it's a temporary high. So when people say, I feel great at such and such a weight, it's a drug. It's a drug experience because, you feel good about yourself because you put so much energy into getting there that, like, yippee, I finally reached my goal. Like, hallelujah, like celebrate. You feel good because you made that goal so important and you achieved it. But it's a small goal. Are you married, in relationship?
Yes, I'm married.
How does your partner feel about your body?
He is very supportive, and he thinks I'm crazy because he thinks I look great, and he's never wanted me to be incredibly slim. He's more than happy how I am, and he knows that I've got an issue as well. And he said, "When are you going to sort yourself out?" Because he said you're not doing it right. So he knows as well, and he thinks I'm crazy.
Okay, and he sounds like he loves you.
He does. He does.
He loves you. Yes. So that's pretty lucky. That's pretty lucky. You have proof positive that at the very least it's in your head, because the man that you sleep with, he's fine with where you're at. He's like more than fine with where you're at. And in fact, he wants you to be fine with where you're at, because then you'll relax and he'll relax and you'll have more fun. And if you're having more fun, he's going to have more fun. If you're not liking your body, you're not going to have as much fun.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just not going to be there. And then nobody's having fun. So there's a place where I would love to see you in this process in order to make friends with food, in order to be in agreement that you're not going to weigh yourself for, pick a number of months, 4 months. I think 4 months would be a good target for you. Weigh yourself for 4 months. You want to know if you lost weight or gained weight? Feel yourself. Yeah. But it's not about losing weight or gaining weight. It's about how you feel. And the reality is, first of all, a scale is a highly inaccurate machine. There's going to be a difference. If you move your scale from one room to another and weigh yourself, you can find a kilo difference here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to say half the time when you're measuring a kilo's difference, your scale is not being accurate. And depending on whether you pee or pooped, and there's so many factors, and you're letting that little machine tell you how you should feel.
Exactly. And I know that controls me too, because when I'm down, I go, I can eat more. And then I get up again and then I have to starve myself. So I know it's not good for me.
Right. And you want to reward yourself when the scale goes down to eat more, because you're depriving yourself. So it's a swing from deprivation to party time, to deprivation to party time. And to stop doing that, you go right in the middle. And right in the middle means you become an eater. You don't make food your enemy. You eat 3 meals a day. You have a couple of snacks. Be a moderate to slow eater. Put food on your plate that you enjoy. I'm going to bet, I don't have enough time to go into nutrition with you, but I'm going to bet that you know foods that are healthy for you.
Correct. Yeah.
And you also know foods that you like that are healthy for you. So when in doubt, eat a food that you know you actually like, and that you believe is healthy for you or moderately healthy for you. Those are the foods you should choose. If it's a food that you think is healthy and you can't stand it, don't eat it. Really. So food should be something that you feel nourished by, that you are enjoying. And part of the way you get there is to go on a no diet. Meaning for the 4 months that you're not weighing yourself, let go of dieting. Pretend that now you're going to pick, you can, let go of dieting. More to the point, let go of the need or the neediness to lose weight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to take weight loss off the table. If you gain 2 or 3 kilos or a handful of kilos in that time, which I don't know is going to happen, what's going to happen? Is your husband going to leave you? Are you going to get fired from your job? Are your friends going to hate on you? If your loved ones talked as mean to you as you do to you, you would never talk to them anymore.
Yeah.
So
and I've always spent too much time worrying about how I look to other people as well.
They don't care. They don't care. I promise you they don't care. And if they do care, and if they're judging you, you shouldn't be interested in them as a person in your life. Or they're shallow. Plain and simple. They're shallow people and they don't deserve a lot of your attention. And I don't know that anybody cares or notices, oh my God, she lost 5 kilos or she gained 5 kilos. People literally don't care. We are projecting what we are thinking onto other people as if they're thinking that.
Yeah, maybe I'm the one who's shallow because I feel that way.
People are more worried about their own life, by the way, than how many kilos you are. Like really, they're worried about all their own stuff. They don't have time to waste on whether your weight is going up and down. They're not noticing. So 4 months on a no diet means that you're going to pretend, this is pretending, play acting, this is the body that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. How can I be happy? How can I feel comfortable? Because I'm going to tell you, there are women who have a lot bigger body than you do, and they're comfortable.
Correct, yeah.
A lot bigger body than you do, and they're happy. They have a lot bigger body than you do, and they're playful, and they're sexual, and they're sensual, and they got no problems.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just living in here, that we create a standard that's always beyond our reach. And even if you do reach it, you had to deprive yourself and starve yourself and exercise yourself to death to get there.
Yeah.
So I know I'm being a little aggressive in this conversation, and I'm not always like this, but you presented a challenge to me, and I was just hearing what felt like just a lot of conflicting voices in your head that are all contributing to you being stuck in a cycle that you can't get out of. And all I'm doing is I'm telling you, just from 40 years of doing this, here's how you get out that cycle.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you actually give yourself the best chance to find your natural weight, because you're becoming a real eater, as opposed to trying to train your body to not eat, which is what bodies don't do that.
Yeah.
The only time the body not eats is when it's starving, is when there's no food in the environment. And when that happens, your calorie burning metabolism slows down. And then the moment you sense some food in the environment, you pounce on it because you're starving.
Yeah.
That's what you've been doing. So to stop that cycle, you need to give yourself the signal: food is abundant. Food is my friend. I will be eating 3 times a day. I'm not going to weigh myself. I'm going to, and this is a practice. Like I said, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to pretend that this is the body I have for the rest of my life. How will I be happy? And in fact, extra bonus points if after this, sometime today, you tell your husband that this is what the guy on the podcast said. He said, ask your husband for help, because Tiffany is going to be going on a 4-month no diet and pretending that this is the body she's going to have for the rest of her life. So you want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel comfortable. You want to have fun. Feel good, feel comfortable, have fun with this body. Feel good.
He'll say, thank God for you.
Say again.
He'll say, thank God for you. Sort her out.
But it's you learning that, because you've been telling yourself, I think, I'm going to be this real me once I hit this number and stay there. Then I'm going to be me. And by that definition, you've never been you.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Didn't, think about it.
So you need to reclaim your life here. And these are old patterns. You didn't invent these ways of thinking, by the way. These ways of thinking are living in most females who are born on this planet these days. We get fed this information from movies, media, music, all of it. A lot of men are adopting this. More prevalent in women, I find. But it's this behavior, the belief that I will only be the real me when I hit a certain number. And it's mystical, magical thinking that doesn't work.
Yeah.
because you're going to be the real you when you're the real you.
Mm.
The real you can happen at any weight. By the way, you said something at the very beginning. You said, I want to think like a skinny person thinks.
Mm.
Use that term. I don't know that you want to say that. Careful what you wish for. Because there's a lot of skinny people who are more entangled than you can imagine.
Mm.
They're in more suffering than you can imagine. The extreme of that is called anorexia.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of skinny people who are constantly fighting food. They think food is the enemy. Yeah, they've gotten the skinny thing down, but they're unhappy, they're miserable, and they're oftentimes asexual. They don't have a lot of pleasure in their life. They don't derive a lot of pleasure from their body. They're just living in a consciousness where I win because I'm at a certain weight, but they're not. So what are you doing with that? Like, be happy, like shine, be radiant.
Yeah.
Go play. And they're not doing that because they're in fear.
Yeah.
And the fear never changed just because the weight came off. So the number guarantees you nothing. I am sure you've come across women in your life who have the ideal body and the ideal weight, and they are insecure. Have you ever met one?
Probably. I can't think of one at the moment, but no doubt. Yeah.
Trust me, they exist. And there's lots of them.
Yeah.
And they've been my clients over the years. And it's shocking. And some of them are, famous for their beauty. And they're still trapped. So all I'm saying to you is you're at the age where you're here to be a queen.
Mm-hmm.
Age 50 plus is queenhood time, where you sit on your throne and you are in your power. Yeah, in your teens, maybe in your 20s, we're very outward referenced. How do I look? Do you love me? Am I okay? Looks are important when you're younger. Weight is important when you're in your younger stage. And as you step into adulthood, as you step into queenhood, are you going to sit on your throne and say, like, hey, everybody, do I look okay to you? Should I lose a couple of kilos? Does this dress look all right on me? Like nobody would follow that queen. So there's a part of you that is wanting to be a teenager.
Yeah.
And there's a place where you have to say goodbye to that. Because it's a teenage dream. It's a young woman's dream that when I hit the perfect body, then I'm going to have the perfect life. Everything's going to be okay. I'm above criticism and all the good things happen. The knight in shining armor comes along. Just it's all going to be fabulous. And it's a great fantasy. And the movies and the TV likes to show you that fantasy is happening all the time. I don't think so. So this is about you stepping into your queenhood and letting go of perfection. Just letting go of being perfect. It's not always going to be perfect. Yeah, you would be perfectly comfortable if you had this exact number. Did you ever hear the fairy tale, the tale of the princess and the pea?
Yeah.
She has a pea under her mattress and she could feel it. She's like, this is too uncomfortable. They put another mattress on top and she could still feel it. And another dozen mattresses and she could still feel the discomfort. She's still not comfortable. So it's in part, it's a tale of perfectionism. It's got to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I will not sleep. I will not be happy. And I have to go to these extreme measures to find perfection, which I will never get. We never hit perfection. Nobody does. So all I'm saying is you got to give up that dream. You got to tell your husband that he's right. Give him that. And you have a loving relationship where you got a human being that wants to love on you for who you are. What a great practice partner.
Yeah. So do you think by doing this, I'll sort of get out of the habit of feeling like I've got to eat too much in every sitting?
Yes. Yes. It might take a week. It might take 4 months, because what you're doing is you're unwinding a deprivation pattern. You are so deeply and unconsciously and habitually expecting deprivation because you keep depriving yourself, that the moment you give yourself the opportunity, you pounce. And that is not a character deficiency. That's not a willpower deficiency. That is your survival instinct taking over. Because you have been in the deprivation cycle for so long that your brain is kind of split on this, and it's conditioned to the moment that you see food, you devour it. And you devour as much as possible, because tomorrow there ain't going to be any, because she's going to punish me. The bad witch is going to come out and tell me, no more food for you, little princess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So stepping into your queenhood, your womanhood, your adulthood is you saying to yourself, I'm befriending food. Food is my friend. I'm not starving myself. I'm not denying myself there's going to be food here tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And I am never going to deny myself food. How could denying myself possibly wind up in self-love or happiness? How could deprivation take us on a path to happiness? Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's you learning how to be comfortable, be happy, and be the real you in all the ways other than hitting one weight loss number. And practicing that and exploring that and being curious about, well, what else can I do that is going to make me feel good about being in my body?
Yeah.
So how's this all landing for you?
Yeah, look, it's good to be sort of told what I have to do, which I think I've always known, but I just haven't, for some reason, thought that I could do it. And I know I just have to. I have to change something, because I know that it's just been a roller coaster for me for so many years, and something's got to change because I'm just over it. So I'm actually kind of excited about going back to 3 meals a day. I'm worried that I'll still be eating too much on those 3 meals a day. But, just thinking about some of the things that I've done in the past, I'll have mid-morning and then I'll think, I won't eat again until dinner. And then I'll eat too much at dinner. So I think if I think I'm not worried about, when I'm going to eat next or what I'm going to eat, then I probably won't eat as much in any one sitting.
Exactly. When you give your body enough food at breakfast and enough food at lunch and enough food at dinner, gradually your body's going to get the message, oh, that's enough. And when you're being present and enjoying the food, your brain is getting what it wants, which is experience, which is taste and pleasure and satisfaction, like just a person enjoying a good meal. That by itself brings satiation and satisfaction.
Yeah.
You don't usually have satiation and satisfaction on an emotional chemical level because you're convinced that food is the enemy. So the only way you've been feeling full is just enough food in my system, where your body says, yeah, baby, full. Big amount of food in my system. I am definitely full.
Yeah.
Fullness comes from other places. Yeah, fullness comes from what your body registers, but fullness comes from what you register. So you need to be full of sensation, full of satisfaction, full of pleasure. When you get enough sensation and satisfaction and nourishment and taste and pleasure, that helps your body regulate. So it just doesn't have to have a lot of food so it registers full.
Yeah. Yeah. Going to be an interesting few months.
Yes, it will be. And here's the thing, you just got to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Trust yourself and trust that if you gain a bunch of kilos, you'll be okay. Yeah. It'll turn around. You have spent so much time losing and gaining and losing and gaining and losing and gaining. So I literally don't know what's going to happen for you once you start to eat regular meals. So you could have an initial gain. Why? Because your body's going, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Finally, food. And I better take this food and store it really quickly because she's going to starve me again.
Yeah.
So that's honestly what happens for some people. And that's the most difficult process for me as a coach, as a counselor, helping somebody such as yourself in this position, because it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
But that's what you've been doing anyway. You've been gaining and losing and gaining and losing. And you say, well, if I do your strategy, what if I gain? Well, you've been doing that anyway.
Yeah.
So who cares on a certain level? Because you're doing it in the interest of finding balance. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had the experience, if you've ever gone on a detox diet. And a lot of times, if you go on a detox sort of diet, you feel sick. You could be headachy. You could be really tired and irritable, but it's your body cleansing itself.
Yeah.
So you're doing something good for yourself, but in the process of doing something good, it's like if you're not been fit and all of a sudden you start to exercise. And the first couple of weeks of exercise, it's terrible. It hurts. You don't want to do it. This aches, that aches, and you don't have any stamina. And then all of a sudden it starts to turn around. But there's that period of time where, this is a slog. This isn't easy. So you may go through that.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is trust this process, trust this journey, trust yourself. And what I mean by trust yourself is don't abandon yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to just go back to the old way because why? Because that worked.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the hardest thing for me, I think, is to trust myself that I can do this.
Trust yourself that you could do this, and trust that you're not going to abandon yourself. Even if it's hard, even if you gain a few kilos, you just keep trusting, like you stand by yourself and you say, okay, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to abandon you. And we're learning how to become an eater. You're learning how to make friends with food.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do it. Ask your husband for support. Tell him what you're up to. Tell him what you're doing. It's nice to have support from a loved one or somebody that's nearby and close by and close to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am very lucky. I know that.
Well, Tiffany, I want to say I really appreciate you being open to what I had to share with you. I want to say I was a little bit energized, and I know I threw a lot on your plate there for sure.
All good.
And it comes from the place of really wanting you to have what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just did. I just gave you about 5 or 6 months worth of work with a typical client in 55 minutes. So there's a lot there.
Yeah, there is, but it's a lot of good stuff, and it's really helpful to have somebody like yourself tell me, something that should be so simple and normal. So I do really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Great, Tiffany. I appreciate you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. Take care, my friends.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care, and remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have